Hi, today we're going to be looking at how we can use the 5E instructional method with the social sciences. So the 5E instructional method is made up of 5 different sections. So they are the engage, explore, explain, expand, and evaluate. In the engage section, you're getting students interested, trying to get them to see why we are learning about this area and what is interesting and inviting and motivating about the area of study. In Explore, we are then pointing students in the right direction of what we want them to be knowing and understanding about the subject. And even though this is a teacher-directed time, that does not mean it is direct teaching on the teacher. It's still a student-centered experience. In the Explain portion, we're now taking that information that students have learned from the Explore portion and making sense of it. So in Explore, they're just learning new facts and information. In Explain, they're putting that information together to make sense of it. In Expand, students are now taking what they've learned and seeing how it applies to different situations, to their own lives, how it connects to other pieces of information, in some sort of meaningful and authentic way. So it's not just answering questions on a piece of paper, it's now applying in some sort of project-based way. And then the last step of evaluate actually does not follow in a linear process with the other 4 steps. Evaluation should be occurring throughout each of the steps. So especially in the explore, explain, and expand. Explore evaluations might be more informal, looking to see how they're note-taking, if they're note-taking, making sure that they're hitting all the correct points within their note-taking. Explain is looking for maybe a little bit more formal evaluations on their understanding of the topic. And then in the expand, the evaluations look more, okay, do they understand the topic deep enough to be able to apply it to different situations? Expand stage, because in that expand stage, we're looking at that choice and autonomy, that understanding of goals, that planning, so it gives them a deeper understanding. It increases their engagement because it's student-centered the whole way through. From the beginning of engagement all the way through the expand, it is student-centered. And also gives it more authentic ways of learning history. A lot of times students don't understand history because it seems so removed from their lives and they don't understand how history connects to now. So for our unit of study, we're going to be looking at a social sciences lesson with 4th grade students, but it's actually using a 5th grade standard because we are still transitioning from being a multi-grade grade building previously to now being a single grade building, and some of our curriculum still has to fall on the opposite grade level because students already received the 4th grade curriculum last year. So the standard we are going to be using is investigating how the cultural and environmental characteristics of places within the United States changes over time. And our compelling question to lead is, how did the geography of the area affect the colonists as they settled into North America? So in our first engage step, we would start that off by just presenting a map of the colonies to the students and asking them to just take a look at what do they notice about the settlement of each region. And we really want them to be looking at the idea of where in the United States is this placed, what geographic features are around it. Then we pique student interest by using a video. Especially 4th grade students love silly little videos that show them the history on their level, so video is a really good way to grab their attention. And finally, we present them with their compelling question. Now, within the Explore stage, students are given a resource of different information on geography, and they're given resources that are presented in different ways. So students have the option of using their normal textbook to gain understanding, which is really a great tool because it is written right at their level. Students are also given some online tools. So the Colonial Geography is another literacy-based article tool. There's 13 colonies maps that students can look at, and then Discovery Education actually has a whole channel on geography in the colonies, so that provides students with even more access to videos, online maps, online articles. And then finally, we have 3 different videos that tell about different aspects of colonial America that would be important. So one is just the history and the background of colonial America. Another one is specifically on those colonial regions and incorporates their geography. And the third video is just some more background information on geography in case students have forgotten it from our previous lessons. This is also where the evaluate stage comes in, because students will be taking notes as they are reading, and the teacher can informally use the notes to make sure that students are accurately having a correct understanding of the material. So we move on to the explain portion, which is now students were working in groups before, and these partner groups will come together to create an answer for how the geography of the area affected the colonists as they settled. The reason we have two different groups coming together is because through the explore stage, they might have both gained some different understandings that the other partner group did not find, and that way they can have an even broader understanding on the topic by coming together to answer the compelling question. So they're just going to do this through a shared Google Doc, because then every student is able to participate. Which again brings us in the evaluation stage, because you can now evaluate their answer to the compelling question. Now in the expand is really the culminating evaluation project. So they're going to show what they know by writing a letter to convince someone who is still living in England to join them in their colony in America. This helps bring this idea of why do I need to know about the geography of the land, and shows how it was important to the people and their survival. And now that survival is a part of their lives, which makes it a little bit more authentic, because they're thinking of it as their own survival and why it's been so positive and why others should join it. There's a checklist that students will use to make sure that they're including all the main areas of information. So they need to come up with a story for themselves. Who are they? Which colony did they pick? The 3 different geographic references of areas that were colonized, at least one positive about that area and one negative about that area, and how this area in the geography affects their jobs. And then, of course, basic writing is expected in it, like using transition words, enclosures, and following a letter format. In order to start their writing, students will use a graphic organizer to organize their thinking. This also helps them to keep their focus on the history aspect of it and less on the just creative writing, who am I aspect. And then to write the letter, we actually go through a whole writing-based unit on it to make sure that they're doing proper letter writing and showing how we can use authentic experiences in writing as well. So it becomes a across content areas lesson. And finally, students are evaluated through a writing rubric. The first section of the writing rubric focuses on the history portion, while the other 3 sections focus on the writing conventions, voice, and organization. The voice portion is also pretty important to the history aspect, because they need to be writing it through the voice of their colonists, not through their own personal voice. And that's the end of our lesson. Thanks.